Hello, viewers. I'm SB, and welcome back to a solitaire mystery. Where it's been a little bit of a break. I took a week off, but I'm ready to jump back in here with Lock Solitaire, a simple variation of a traditional solitaire setup. Every time you move a card, it gets locked in place for 2 moves. Thus, you'll need to consider your resources carefully so as not to get stuck. This doesn't seem so tough. Let's give it a roll. And indeed, you know, the presented difficulty is not very high. So, pile cards of every suit in ascending order from the slots on the right. Cards are stacked in the middle slots in an alternating red-blue pattern, either ascending or descending. Direction of ascension and descension can change in the middle of a stack. Every time you place a card anywhere, that slot is locked for the next 2 moves. Okay. So we want to alternate colors. Alright, well, so we got a couple of 2s in this pile. A couple of 2s in this pile. So my initial inclination is to see if we can't figure out how to start digging around in those. Unfortunately, it's not super obvious right away. This 13 is going to be a big problem. So we have to decide, are we devoting one of our slots early on to that 13? I think the answer is going to be yes. So is it it locks the stack where I put things, not the stack where I take things from. Okay. So like, maybe this is premature. Maybe this is like aggressive. But let's say we do that. Now, if I put this 4 down here, I can't follow it with the 3 quickly. I think I'd like to just do... Boy, we're getting a little close to things getting sealed up here, though. I'll like... Yeah, I don't actually have a move on this, right? This is tricky. Like blocking up a space, blocking up one of our very few spaces so early really hurts. Well, okay, so yeah, alternating colors. Yeah, it's interesting that you can't pull things over to the side slots in consecutive turns. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think there's no illegal moves on this one right now. All right, it's all good. We're here. We got it. So 2, 2, 2, and. Okay, the other 2 is way deep in that pile. Yeah, it's interesting. So this time my inclination is to pull a 13 aside, but we have like the tools to start building on it, and we actually have a fair number of high value cards early on here. Stuff that we're definitely going to want to get rid of. So we have an 11, 12 that can be moved together. And like you can do stuff like this just to burn time, right? Consecutive 4s. Well, hold on. I was gonna say just to burn time, because like then we can make more moves over here, but actually I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like, where am I going to go to keep acting here? It does suck to have so many 13s so low. Alright, hold on. So, like, if I don't do that, if I can't place this on there. Flipping the 11 off to the side doesn't, like just moving the 12 by itself, you know, even once the 13 is unblocked, doesn't really help too much with this. What I need to do is I need to expose. Yeah, we have a really awkward number of high value cards here. I need to like expose some 10s so that we can work on them. Where are all the other 13s? There's one that's fairly low over here. There's one that's pretty high there. And then there's this one. Yeah, that's actually pretty not ideal. Okay, so let me move, instead of the thing I was gonna do, let me move the 7 over here onto this 6 with the intention of moving the 7-6 like onto the 5 later. And if in order to facilitate that, I pull this 9 over here, then we can move the 12 there. But we're going to lock up again really quickly, right? Like, yeah, I think this is actually, this is adding way more difficulty than I was expecting. So we can do this because I'm used to doing a lot of like little sideways moves, flipping things onto each other. So is there a move here? There isn't, right? No 10s nor 8s to move 9s onto. The 5 wants a 4 or a 6. The 11s need 12s, and there is a 12, but it won't be available for a second. Yeah. This is actually, I think, quite a lot harder than it's being represented as, and I think that may be largely a style thing, just the way I'm used to solving problems in Solitaire. Okay, this is interesting. So we have exposed 2s. We have 3 easily exposed 2s. Let's not be in a big hurry to move them. Let's try to figure out how we are going to make use of them as spacers. So again, I'm noticing we have a lot of the same numbers available in the low parts of the stacks. There's a lot of 5s, there's a lot of 11s. So after we start moving things out, it's not actually going to be easy to keep flow. Let's move the 13. Exposing these 5s and that 11, like none of it's going to do anything for us. We'll put this 2 in, put this 2 in. That allows me to move this 12 up, which lets me move this 7 out. Although we have a hard time connecting it to anything from there, because we need red 6 or blue 9, neither of which are forthcoming. Yeah, and we are absolutely getting strangled by all these 5s. Okay, so we have an 11 to move over here in a second. Then we have 3 exposed 5s. And like all the 6s and 4s are in this stack over here. So we can move a 3 off of there. This 8 is problematic. But the 10 following it is less so. So how do we... And it's worth noting that we have both the red 5s and both the red 4s here, and the blue 4s are actually at the bottom of these stacks. This is miserable. This is a really tough game type. Just for staying alive. Okay, so if we want to try to dig a little deeper, we can pull the 5 out to here, move the 8 onto that 9. I can't get rid of that 10. I can move the 9 onto the 8, and that leaves us with the ability to move this 10 out. That's not horrible, but part of the value of moving stuff off of this stack was it was going to let me put that 5 back. It was going to get us to a position where we could have a free slot again, because I think it's like very dangerous to not have a free slot open, right? And we're kind of digging toward a blue 6 here. All right, let's do this. Now, if we put the 9 over here, we have the ability to remove the 10 right away, which is actually, I think, very good. And then we have an 876 available waiting for the red 9. Well, we'll be waiting for this to unblock, right? But it's something. And doing this gets me my slot back. Now see, the inability to manipulate a stack multiple times in a row in quick succession makes something like this, untangling this, much more difficult than it would otherwise be, because ordinarily I would put the 9 over here, then put the 8 over here, then move them both as a stack back onto this 10. But we cannot do that in this instance, because putting the 9 over here will lock it. So unless I have 2 more moves in mind, which I don't think I do. No, probably not. Yeah, so let's say we move like... I'm thinking about moving trying to get this 8 onto this 9. That creates a situation where this other blue 8 is really hard to move around. The other red 9 is here. Where's the other red 7? It's underneath all this stuff. We have this 8-7 that can play on this 9 if we have a place to put this 5. But red 6s and red 4s are both pretty hard to get a hold of right now. If I move the 5 over to here, Then that does let my blue 9 stack up onto this, which is handy. Let's go ahead and try this. And I know we have our 2 of hearts looking us in the face. And I'm trying to not use it until we need to use it. Alright, so we do that. That gives us a little bit more time to lock and unlock things. This is a blue 12. It's not super helpful to unlock that just yet, I guess. If we pull the 8 over onto here, then we can finally drop the 2 and move the 11 over onto the 12. And this slot's like in search of a blue 10. We eventually could kind of like unkink the bottom of this onto there. Maybe. Alternatively, we could go for the 11 move over here. I kind of want access to that 4 though. I think this is right. This makes this uninteractable for quite a while. We move our 2. It's a little scary. The 11 comes over here. And then to buy time, we can drop this off there. That's not the correct 4 for this. Like in order to get any more movement on the stacks, we're gonna have to get to this 4, this 2, and the red 3s are both buried way deep over here. So I'm trying to figure out what needs to be moved early, what can like wait a second. I think we want to do this now because we need this stack to be cooling. And then we can pull this 8 over to here. This red 11 can come up here. Now see, this leaves us with a blue 3 that we can't do anything with until we can get to these 4s. This is an iron gate. This is like hugely problematic for us. Both of my blue 12s are locked here. So like moving this 10 over, I think I have to, but then I think we're dead, right? Because what we really want to be able to do is move that back. But I think does this position have any plays? Where's the other red 12? It's over here. Yeah, everything just like we ran into all these stacks of the same number. It's like you get all your 5s, but all your 6s and 4s are tucked away under a ton of cards, and it's just like it's very difficult to progress from there. Well, Yeah, I do believe I'm dead. Okay. Might be a little bit of roughness coming back from the break. I've lost my puzzle brain. Alright, where are the 11s and the 9s? So this 10 has its 11 already. We have a 9-8 to go with this 10. Sevens are deep. I see this. But we do have the 3 of diamonds to go along with it, which is nice. But I'm not silly. I'm just... It's a little hard for me to look ahead too much right now. But I'm trying to see the path forward. So if we do this... We have time to play... stuff to the outsides. But we gotta be careful. And we obviously have time to play the 2 in the 2 of diamonds. Not and the 3. The 2 or the 3 of diamonds. Or sorry, just the 2. The 3... we'll be able to get down there 2 turns after, provided I don't do something silly with it, like move it over onto the 4, which doesn't seem like a thing I would want to do, but who knows, maybe there's some kind of weird time buying play. So digging through this stack would get us access to some valuable numbers, I think. A red 9, a blue 11. We certainly don't need a third 6. Pulling this stuff aside gets us access to the 7s. That'll help us deal with our 6s and 8s. Like maybe we do that. And then... This 10 needs an 11 or a 9 to live on. So our blue 11s are here and here. Our blue 9s are here and here. But we've already... No, I mean, that's fine. Okay, so this is a good time to do this. And then... Red 12s are in kind of tough spots. I'm trying to look forward enough here. Alright, so we close these up. Move this 6 over to here. Remember, we have the space neutral move of the 3 of diamonds at some point. Gosh, it really is rough that our blue 2s are at the very bottom of these like extremely tall stacks. This 12 could host a 13 or could live on a 13. Like, how are we going to get underneath here? How are we going to dig either of these stacks down is a pretty critical question of the moment. And it does seem like the answer is we're not. This 6 is incredibly hard to get rid of. 7 and 5 right there, 7 right there, 5 way up there. So this stack is effectively locked, right? Like, unless I want to sacrifice something more long term. man. Yeah, this is really rough. So, all right, where are the blue 8s? There's a blue 8 right here. 7, 6 onto this blue 8, and then 8 back onto the 7, 6, back onto the 7. Does help us dig some, but it does require us also to like burn some time, right? I am kind of thinking about moving this 4 over instead of moving the 3 off of there, just because I don't know how we ever access the lower cards here if we don't move the 4 over. And then, are we moving this 10 into an open space? It's a dangerous thing to do. It exposes that blue 8 right as the red 7 becomes available to move. There's a blue 11 over here, but it's like... that 3 is really hard to deal with. Both of our red 4s are deep underneath that 6. Yeah, okay, if you do this... Am I not remembering? We can change the order of ascension and descension. You gotta alternate the colors. No, I'm just finding this one very difficult. It's not a mismemory problem, it's a being bad at the game problem. Yeah, the problem is like every set of moves I can see locks. I'm trying so hard to see a way of doing things that isn't going to lock us in place in the very near future. But there just aren't. I'm having a really hard time seeing the sequences that work that way. This one is surprisingly difficult for me. Right, because like this play unlocks that stack, which is not actually very good or interesting for me. And we got all this, we got all these things that are all the wrong colors. Yeah, it's just misery. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna actually back out of this one. We're gonna come back to it. That's my first time having to do that, but yo, that sucks. I'm having a hell of a time with that. Let's move on to another one. Just try to clear my head here. Uneven solitaire. The uneven part of the name comes from the fact that the rules for placement and picking of stacks are different, and thus you need to be careful not to lock yourself out of valid moves. It's a 3-star. I don't know. Let's see. Let's try. So we only have 4 stacks to work with right away. Pretty worrying. Pile cards of every suit in ascending order. Cards are stacked on each other in alternating even-odd pattern. You can pick up a stack of any size so long as all of the cards in the stack are of the same suit. You can also stack cards of the same value and move them together as a stack. Okay. Alright. I will say that I do not, for an alternating even odd pattern, I don't love that we're back to face cards. I would much prefer 11, 12, 13 on this one for sure. That seems like a no-brainer though. So Evens and odds can go on top of each other. You can move as a stack anything that is lots of the same suit. Well, I guess that's not even a useful thing to do. I was like, uncover a 2, of course. But I need to dig out that ace first. So king is 13. So I guess it's like this, and then move these together onto that. Allows me to create a larger stack of clubs here. Although these clubs, yeah, these clubs move together. I couldn't have stacked the 7-3 myself, but since they were already stacked, they do move together just fine. And then that means I can do a thing like this and get access to my ace really easily. Where are the others? So the other aces are just in this pile. We would just love to dig through here. And I mean, it's not too bad to do so. You can stack things at the same number, but I can't move them all as a group. Yeah, that's a little tricky. So an 8 is, sorry, a jack is an 11. So this works. And then you can stack the jacks, meaning that we now have a place to put all these. I can move the 3s onto here to make that work. Jack is an 11, so 3 doesn't stack on it naturally. The 2 does, though. I'm trying to get to these aces, right? So the 2 stacks on the 11, allowing me to pull. Actually, for right now, let me hold on to that 2 as a buffer between two odd cards. You're a 13, which is really awkward. So we're all odds showing at this point. Yeah, no, it's starting to get a little tricky with the odds. Well, so we can pull this over onto here, and then I can stack the king to king, and we could go even here, odd even, because those were stacked funny to begin with. And then that lets me move this whole 13 onto 14 here, which doesn't actually solve my problem. Hold on a second. Why was I doing that? How did I think that was going to help? Well, now I can move these to there, leaving us with an even number here. And then if we... So even number up for the kings. We do this. Now this king can go here because that's an even number, allowing us to access the ace. King's a 13, so the 2 goes there naturally, which lets me do this, and then 13 onto 10. Set that whole thing onto the 9 so that we can get this 11 out of here. I gotta get to my 2s. Alright, let me take this out of here. Set this on there. We can alternate some of that stuff and just start pulling cards out of the pool. If I pull 7 onto 10, yeah, it's just odds onto evens. We can, ooh, how do I get rid of this? Ah, right, I can't stack that 7 onto that. I broke that stack in a really, perhaps non-optimal place for the moment. But here we go. I can create a stack of jacks, allowing me to move odd onto even, and then we can do that. Okay. So, the 2 of diamonds is right here. So we may as well do that. And then these diamonds can be restacked in that way. Can pull heart. Slowly we are removing cards from the pool. 11, 5, 13. Not ideal. I can move a king off somewhere to give us the ability to access the cards beneath, the card directly beneath, in a spot where that's beneficial to do. This stack runs to king as well, which is, again, kind of awkward. We have a lot of fucking just like odd numbers exposed. Can I pull stuff back? I cannot pull stuff back off of here. Okay, we got to be careful about moving even numbers out of the puzzle for a minute here. Now, what am I trying to do right now? Right now I'm trying to find a way. Oh, those are both odd. Shoot. I'm trying to find a way to move this stack over to so as to get at that 4 was what I was trying to do. Because then we just have an open slot. The 10 can sit on top of this jack, give us an even, well actually, yeah, the 10 can sit on top of the jack, which can give us an even number to pull on. But in order to get there, I haven't locked us now, have I? I can move the king over and expose a 9, which is not helpful. Well, I can move the king over and expose a 9 and then stack this 9 onto there, and that gives us an odd number, or it gives us an even number to ride things on. And in fact, I can pick up this whole stack now and put it here. And that gives us a 6 showing and a queen showing, which lets us... Oh, no, shoot, right. You can't necessarily set a stack down always on top of... Right. So if I move this king over here, we don't have a place to move the 7. Is the challenging issue with that. If I... See, I could break this stack to 10. Right, we could move the king over here onto the 6. Place the 10 on top of this jack. And then exposing a 9 allow us to move some of this stuff around, but it's not actually productive. I can pick, so king is a 13, right? Pick this 4 up and move it like this. Move this king off of here onto there. And that gives us a 7 We can move on to this 6. A 10, then we can move on to this jack. And now we have some more even numbers to work with. I think we want to pull this 3 out of the puzzle, but we might want to hold the 4. Although our blue, all of our exposed blue stuff is 4s, is odds. Or is evens, rather. That doesn't have to remain the case, obviously. Okay, what if we did king onto here, 4 onto there, move this king onto that. So now I have an odd to even blue stack and another odd to even blue stack, which at least lets me divide them differently if I want to. So what are we trying to access? The 3 of diamonds is there. The 6 of hearts is there. The 4 could come off of this and we could make just 1 stack. And then the 4 of clubs is at the bottom of this stack. So, I mean, I don't hate accessing the 4 of clubs. We could just go like, for the moment, it's like king, queen. Get on there. 6, 4. Now we have an open slot. Now we're doing something. I don't know what the fuck it is, but we're doing something. Now we could wheel back odd or even odd. Let's start uniting stuff. We need to get access to these low. So we're gonna be left with diamonds on the board forever. Diamonds are gonna be the last suit we break. If I do this, we can pull this king onto here. We can only move things if they're the same suit, or if they're the same. Here, let me do this for a moment. If they're the same, if it's a stack of the same suit, or if it's a stack of the same value. Because obviously this lets me start pulling cards out again. So that's a 13 onto the 6. I think I'm good with that. Start pulling cards out of the deck. This jack can just sit on that jack if I wanted to. We could, because we know we're not going to be pulling diamonds anytime soon anyway. We could stack all the jacks over here for the moment. Right, like I could just do this and open up more space to work with. 9, 8, queen, 7. Lets me move this whole blue stack over, and then we can unwind this onto here slowly until we get to our 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay. Now I need... So 9 can sit over here for a second. Okay, got rid of a whole suit. I'm a little loath to play out the 4 right now because of the predominance of odd numbers on the bottom of our stacks. It's just like odd. It's hard to move stuff around if we get too low on something like that. But we're starting to make some real progress here. So the question is, what's next? I can't proceed too much further in spades without accessing the 5. The 8 of hearts is in there as well. So actually everything's kind of gotten snaggled here now. So let's see if we can desnaggle a little bit. Now, unfortunately, the 3 most accessible hearts we have are all odd. So that's the thing that we're going to have to deal with. If we just back this whole line up onto that, trying to figure out how do I want to do this. I guess I just have to completely reverse order. But there's a 7 on a 13 here. So there's a point at which the reverse order is going to break. I can't put you there, but I can put you there and you there. An even number on this, odd number on that, and I could just move the whole diamond stack over, since we don't particularly need to dig into it. Yeah. And then you can sit here because you're the same value. You can sit here. We can pull 8, 9, 10. Eight sits on 9, 5 sits on whatever. Burn the 3. And we're starting to get really close, right? 4, 5. Jack's at 11, so it sits here comfortably. Okay. King's at 13. Okay. It won't actually run the auto stack correctly here because of the sort of convoluted nature of the stacking system of this game, but that's fine. We'll get it manually. There we go. Okay, I got 1. That's a little, I feel, somewhat redeemed. That's supposed to be more difficult, according to the difficulty ratings. There's something about my brain that gets real caught up on this one. You know what? I think maybe we're going to call that good. We're a few minutes short of the hour here, but I don't want to jump into another one. We're gonna come back for Lock Solitaire. You know what? No, we're gonna come back for Lock Solitaire. That's gonna be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. This was a little bit of a demoralizing return episode, but when you come back next time, I probably won't jump right back into Lock. We'll probably go on a couple more. We'll come back to it periodically, and I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.